Good evening. Welcome to the 125th Annual Hicks Speaking and Writing Contest, a tradition that has endured relatively unchanged for a century and a quarter is a testament to the generations of teachers and students dedicated to creating community and shared experience. Tonight, we unplug from our devices. If you want to go ahead and turn those off, that would be great, and communicate the same way those original students did in 1892. Our speakers will share their ideas, their passion, and themselves, not in a 6-second video clip, but in person, from their hearts and from their heads. Our essayists will do the same, not in 144 characters cluttered with emoticons, but in lengthy prose full of description, imagery, thought, and emotion. I'm sure our finalists use devices to create their essays and speeches, but tonight we celebrate and judge their ability to move us with words on the page and spoken out loud. While tonight's essayists and speeches may only be a few pages long or a few minutes long, they represent countless hours of revision and rehearsing. Thank you to the preliminary judges, teachers, parents, friends, siblings, innocent bystanders, pets who have been asked or forced to be a part of this process. You can all be proud of playing a part in their accomplishments tonight. Although our essay finalists may have avoided speaking in public, we would like to subject them to a moment of public recognition before the winners are announced later this evening. We have Melanie Edwards. In her essay, she challenges society's influence in beauty standards, how I redefine them. Or you can stand up if you, oh, she'll be here, all right. A lot of busy students. She'll be here later for the announcement. We have Samantha Heath, who proposes that she will be defined by herself and not her situation in 12 a.m. Thoughts. Matthew Mardarski provides a personal account of the challenges and rewards of living with OCD in A Curse and a Gift. And Axel Olivares weighs in on the side of the politically oppressed in undocumented immigration. Our first speaker shares her experience with the complexity of identity with other Kesia Cividanes.
What is an other? White, African American, Hispanic, Native American, Asian, or just simply other. As individuals, we are centered around our ethnicities. Job applications, college, SATs, they're all forcing us to choose one and only one. It's like playing the guessing game that determines the categories of my race or ethnicity. An ethnicity, a noun, meaning a social group that shares common traits, backgrounds, and beliefs. Nowhere in that definition does it state the color of my skin. Our social groups are formed by cultural backgrounds where ethnicity is the primary status. It is as if our ethnicities have some sort of rule book we have to follow. Speak when I'm talking to you. Don't slouch. Be polite. Growing up mixed race, we feel unsure of where our identity really lies. I myself, as a mixed individual, feel pressured to choose who I want to be more. I don't need to feel separated by my races. I have the right to identify myself differently than you expect me to. Oh, and I can't forget constantly hearing nicknames like Oreo, light skin, or mutt. Don't you think it's way too often? But there is more to me as an individual than the pigment that makes me the color that I am. Because I am white does not mean I'm rich. Because I am black does not mean I listen to rap music. And because I am Hispanic does not mean I am gang affiliated. I am a form of implicit bias where it is okay to judge each other based on attitudes, actions, and conscious behavior. They ask, "You're so pretty, what are you?" Which is the usual question that I get. And before I answer, I try to laugh it off like it didn't bother me, because I would really love to say, "A smart young adult looking to complete her life goals." But they don't want to hear that. So I answer, "My mother's Italian, my father's African American and Hispanic with skin 2 tones darker than my own." So which side do you identify with more? As if I'm some puzzle. Some puzzle that is missing that one piece, and you can't finish the puzzle until the piece is found. It's like our society has this plan to tear us apart, little by little. How am I supposed to choose sides of my own self? My parents didn't force me to choose which side I wanted to be. I don't wake up asking myself, would you like to be African American today? This isn't like picking out an outfit. Hello, what is there not to get? I experience and acknowledge everything that made me, so there's no reason to choose one side only. I am that glass of milk with a splash of coffee infused with caramel. My olive skin can be fooling. My loud, short, curly hair is what separates me from a non-mixed individual. Kasia is not the typical name we often hear, which must mean I'm a different ethnicity, right? I am a result of an interracial relationship, and it feels good. I live a life full of culture, but I am that other. That other in the check only one box section when applying for jobs in colleges. If I check off white, then I can no longer be black. But I can check off black with no Hispanic origin. What about the all of the above option? Think about this. We live in a world with so many other races beyond being black, white, or Hispanic. There are Malaysians, black and Asians, of course, Mexicans and Italians. I can go on. My point is, why is the check only one box section forcing us to be who we aren't? The irony behind all of this is I don't want or need to choose one side to identify with. That requires me to choose one parent's belief over another. I've even read articles and blogs where multiracial individuals with lighter skin like myself feel forced to claim themselves as white because they aren't black enough. I won't be forced to be something I don't choose to be. Therefore, I'm okay with being the so-called mutt. Dr. Seuss taught me it was good to be different when he states, "Why fit in when you're born to stand out?" When I was little, I died to fit in with other girls. Yeah, I looked in the mirror every day and didn't realize that I had long blonde hair and blue eyes. Now graduating high school, I can take pride in standing alone. In the article, Choose Your Own Identity, they state, in experience of being an other, there is a valuable lesson in consciousness. You learn to listen harder because you've already heard what others have to say before you even get a chance to speak. That is why I'm standing here today, to speak up. So the real question is not, what are you, but who are you? Confident, bold, open-minded, creative. Those are all traits I would list off if you were to ask me, who are you? Because guess what? My race does not define me. I am from past, the present, and still dreaming of my future. I am from hard work and passion. I am cut from a different cloth than you, and you. So you can continue to label me as you would like, adjust what you think I'm expected to do, and listen to all the stereotypes, because that does not change me as a human being. Today's society is so judgmental when it comes to who we are and what we are capable of doing. I am one who believes that there are many who see beyond the color of skin, and not having to choose between being black, white, or Hispanic, I learned that skin is skin and hair is just hair, nothing else. So why are we human beings making it deeper than that? Congratulations! Now that we have reached the end of your checklist to figure me out, I would really love to ask, are you ready to listen to my story without assumption? I'm not who you expected me to be. I am who I am.
Thank you, Kasia. Our next speaker warns of our dependence on technology. With confiding in technology, we have Danielle Davis.
Every day we use technology. Technology is helpful. It allows us to gain insight on many things we don't know much about. But our use of technology can be an issue. Our societal need to gain acceptance through the use of social media has allowed us to put more and more of our time online. But we don't seem to see the issue with that. As a whole, people are choosing a heap of connected wires rather than making connections with the people around them. We choose to stare at a glass screen, playing games, and texting people we barely consider our friends, while then staring into the eyes of our loved ones to have a conversation. These issues are very real. However, no one seems to see the problem. Or maybe we do see the issue, but we aren't that concerned. We are either oblivious to the isolation caused by our increased use of technology, or we are aware but simply aren't that concerned. We increasingly invest more and more of our time into our favorite group chats, Twitter accounts, games, and other social media accounts that we aren't putting more time into the people around us. But why? In a world filled with the technological advancements to help us make connections easier and quicker than ever before, how are we disengaging ourselves from our friends just as quickly? We are severing bonds, avoiding meetups, and downright sheltering ourselves from the friends around us. This has become so normal that we don't seem to see the issue, and we aren't concerning ourselves with changing our behavior. Evidently, all of the technology surrounding us isn't doing anything progressive. One study shows that as technological usage increases, so does isolation among teens and young adults. Another thing, the use of technology increasing has caused people to have worse relationships with their mothers and friends. This study is just one example that shows that while technology can be a great tool for research and communication, it is also drawing us away from the people around us. We are expanding our world so much through our use of social media that we are closing ourselves into a tiny box at the same time. We are doing just the opposite of what our intentions are by joining so many social media sites and spending so much time on them. Being online gives us a sense of power and adrenaline that we sometimes feel that we don't feel in the real world when things don't go our way. We are creating aliases or joining online communities to create a new world while also disengaging from the world around us. People start becoming so invested in this fantasy world that the reality starts becoming less important to them. To the average person, they don't think this behavior seems to connect with them. Just because someone uses technology and social media on a daily basis doesn't mean that they're trying to disengage from the real world. Not even slightly. But this can apply to the average person because almost everyone has a form of social media, like Twitter or Instagram. With social media becoming more popular in recent years, we are spending more time on them to gain acceptance, recognition, popularity, and likes and retweets. Especially now, a person's worth is more heavily geared to how many retweets, likes, and favorites they get, as opposed to who they are as a person and their character. The amount of followers we get is becoming how we define ourselves, and this isn't for the best. And this is becoming detrimental to our self-worth and self-esteem. Another study confirmed that people who use so many different social media sites think that their self-worth is being diminished. You may think this is a little dramatic. You may think, well, why don't they just turn off their social media accounts? But who doesn't have a social media account these days? You're considered a weirdo not to have one. You don't know what's going on in the world, and you can't let people know what's going on in your life. As a whole, we are becoming more invested in these social media accounts than we are with actually being social. The more we invest our time online, the less we are engaging ourselves with others. We are closing ourselves into a tiny box at the same time. Being online gives us a sense of power and rush that we don't feel in the real world when things don't go our way. We can say what we want, post what we want, and share what we want. Who we are and who we want to be is in our control, and we love that. But is this sense of power really well-deserved? Are we really able to be who we are online without consequence or judgment? The simple answer is no. Every post we share is available for everyone to see forever. One bad tweet can cause us to lose the respect of a friend or mentor, or even a job. A scandalous picture posted on Instagram, well, that can cause you to be looked down on, just for showing some skin. This makes us powerless, practically muted, which is ironic considering the sense of power and rush we feel after posting a tweet we're proud of at the time. But we don't always think about this as we continue to build our reputation online, so we don't change that behavior. But the reputation we create online is something we make, so we don't seem to want to change that. It's much easier to build a reputation online than it is on the real world, considering what you post online is your choice. Just like anything though, social media isn't all bad. It can propel rising talents into a well-deserved stardom that word of mouth just can't. It's easier to get positive messages out as well. So of course the technological advances that have come in recent years are just that, advancements. There's definitely a reason as to why our use of social media has increased in upcoming years. The convenience and freedom of being online is considered to outweigh any of the bad that I've talked about. But is that tweet really worth it? Is it true you'd rather spend your time communicating with people that you barely consider your friends in that group chat than your real friends in the real world? Albert Einstein once said that it has become appallingly obvious that our technology has exceeded our humanity. And despite it being a very different time from when this was said, this still applies to our society to a certain extent. We're putting technology on a higher pedestal than each other. Technology has now become more important than we are. But it has surpassed our need to make real connections with real people. It is up to us to change this, but based on patterns seen in the last few years, I don't think that's going to change, and that may not be for the best.
Thank you, Danelle. I've been told I maybe need to give everybody a little more time to switch the microphone, so I'm just going to ad-lib for a second here. And this will be the part of the evening where I confess to the guilt that tonight always makes me feel, in that these four speakers have memorized an 8 to 10 minute speech, and I need to read the one-line description of it for them. So whatever else happens, I'm coming in last tonight, guys. All right, all right, we're all set? All right, our next speaker shares her thoughts on cross-cultural education, cross-cultural educational experience with 4 years of Spanish, here we go. Apreciación por la educación. Así? No, not even.
A lot of people have moved from one country to another. I'm not the first, and I won't be the last. But have those who have moved learned what I've learned? We don't notice the problems we have because we're so used to living with them. In Puerto Rico, we think it's normal for the police to arrive 5 hours after a phone call because it's in our everyday lives. But we don't know how different it is in other countries.